moving on to the Indiana Pacers.
Hey, Indiana, sweet Indiana. Okay, so in terms of kind of off-season moves for the Indiana Pacers, not much actually. It's been really kind of quiet. They haven't really lost anybody except for TJ Leaf, unless you really know who he is. Averaged about 2 points, 2 rebounds and stuff.
Wow.
He used to play with one of those funny shooters. What's the Ball brothers back in what's the team? UCLA back in the days. But anyway,
Right.
Wait
until I talk about the Bulls, then you'll be asking, who is this guy? Wait until I get to them.
But on the flip side, it could be a good thing. I think the fact that they'll kind of keep their core nucleus because many of their players like Sabonis was injured. Oladipo obviously still getting over his kind of knee injury as well. And TJ Warren's kind of had a little breakout in the bubble, which hopefully can continue kind of for the next season. So they've kind of got a strong kind of good nucleus. I know Miles Turner was on the trading block for a bit, but I think he's going to return kind of as well. I think they finished kind of 5th, I think it was last season. So they're kind of a strong team, even though Miami kind of knocked them out, clean sweep in the playoffs. I still think they've got a lot of kind of potential. Their potential is kind of like one of their kind of main kind of key aspects. And with Nate McMillan gone as well, quite surprisingly, got a new coach, Nate Boyat, I can't say his name, Boyat Green, who was an assistant for the Toronto Raptors for a couple of years. I think they're still on the cusp of, first round, maybe second round. It all depends on kind of, so how their kind of key veterans come back kind of hard. And if TJ Warren could be the star that we think potentially could be, it's just whether he can kind of diversify his game kind of enough across the season rather than just 10 games in the bubble. So I think they'll make the playoffs, but maybe just first round again, second round if they're lucky. But yeah, a good team, mid-market team, a lot of fun every now and again, but nothing really to write home about.
Yeah. What do you guys think about Victor Oladipo and he's been wanting out all summer. The talk is that there was no market for him. No one wanted to take him on coming off the injury that he had. Do you guys think he can get back to something of what he was before, or does an athlete like that, having the injury that he had, is it too difficult to get back to that kind of reliance on explosive athleticism?
It's very difficult to get back to that injury is very difficult to deal with. I think for Oladipo, it's because I looked into him and what he's done in the NBA, and it's like there's really that one season where he was amazing, right?
Yeah.
And since then, like he had the injury, and then he came back in the bubble. I think he wasn't in there, but he didn't play or he didn't do anything that was particularly amazing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know with him if there's a case of his reality, which is like I want out and I want this big contract, or I want somewhere that is going to a team that can win the title. And I think in his head is like still trying to sell that one good season he had, right? I think teams are looking at him more in terms of can he go back to what you say, like can he go back to any sort of good shape where he could be productive for our team and bring the same sort of value he brought in that good season. But I don't know, it's I think he was linked to the Knicks at some point. I think the Knicks went, nah, you're too expensive. Even the Knicks turned him down.
Yeah.
If the Knicks turn you down, you must be worried. You gotta be worried. I think, I agree. He hasn't been the same. His best season was 17-18. I think he averaged about 23. His first year in Indiana. I mean, he talks so much. Like when I see his posts and when he finishes the season, he's like, we're ready to work again, go back to the lab, and he's always like so motivated. But his body is not as motivated as his mind is, I think. There's always talks about how everybody sleeps on the Pacers, but they're nothing more than a 4th, 5th seed in the East, and that's it.
Which is good enough for the small market team, as we say, and they're not a massive, like they're not a sexy destination for anyone. And I think it's quite a good thing for them. That's where they should be, and they always seem like, like you said, people are sleeping on them, and they always feel like they're ending on that sort of spot.
Agree.
Like fourth, fifth, maybe sixth if they're having a bad one, but they're always there. Again, like they're like Celtic, but redneck Celtic. They're
A bit lower, lower tier.
Lower tier, yeah. Solid, always there, reliable. They just need Reggie Miller.
yeah, and Paul George and the whole
yeah, Paul George. Yeah.
Go back, yeah.
Roll it back.
Hibbert.
All right. So after Indiana comes Miami. So NBA finalists this year. Miami, for me, it's all about consistency with them as well. So as you said, they swept the Pacers in the first round, whooped the Bucks in 5, and then walked through the Celtics in 6 before succumbing in the finals. I think, as I said when we were discussing and analyzing the finals, I think they really believed that they had a very, very, very good chance of winning the finals if they didn't have any injuries. And I think their off-season moves or lack thereof has sort of shown exactly that they still believe in what they did and what they can do with the roster that they have. They have this nice balance between experienced players, players on the come up, and then players in their prime. And Jimmy, they believe that they had a real chance of winning the championship last season, and that they can do the same thing again with their balance of experience and players on the come up. They pretty much tore through the East during the bubble, and I think they, more than anyone, believes in what happened in the bubble as being realistic. A lot of teams, their fellow finalists and the Lakers included, sort of disregarded what happened in the bubble and acted as if it didn't happen and made moves as if it didn't happen. Whereas I think the Heat have sort of doubled down and thought that what happened was legitimate and we can build off what happened there. More or less run it back with the same team. They added Avery Bradley, and then signed Bam to a max deal, or just short of a max deal, I think.
Yeah.
And then significantly, he has the same agent as Giannis. Some people are reading into that the fact that they signed him to a max means that the agent knows that Giannis is going to sign a max deal with the Bucks, because now they wouldn't have quite enough money to sign Giannis to a max deal. I'm not sure it would be a good fit there anyway. Defensively, it'd be great. Offensively, I don't think so. But I think they believe in what they did and believe in what they can do. And the East has sort of taken a step back, I think, as a whole conference. So I think Miami will be able to float into a higher seed this season, and then potentially have an even easier run through the playoffs. So I have them as contenders in the East, Eastern contenders.
I think that's fair. I think they did the right thing in signing Bam. He's a very important part of what they're trying to build. Yeah, and I find it really interesting what you just said. They believe in themselves more than anybody believes in them, right? And that's key. Definitely contenders, at least for the East. We'll see how far they get, but definitely like top seeders, indeed.
They've lost Jay Crawford, right? Yeah, he's gone, isn't it?
Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder, sorry.
Yeah.
I think that might be a bigger loss than we can anticipate. I think he's really, really good in what he brings. So I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm sort of I kind of agree with the mentality of like, let's keep it together, let's run the same core, like, especially when it's been successful like that. To me, it'll depend also on how much Dragic has left in the tank. Because when Dragic is good, then they're borderline unplayable in the East. So it'll be interesting to see how much he's got left. Then the rest, I think they've pretty much given up on the hope of signing Giannis when they got Adebayo back in there. But again, I agree with you. Just I never pictured for 1 second Giannis going over there. I don't think he fits the spirit of the team, if you will. But yeah, top 5? You said top 3, top tier. Not giving numbers.
Top 3, yeah, I'd say top 3 contenders.
Yeah. I'm in agreement as well. I think the Miami kind of culture is so kind of tough. There's no other way to put it. Tough guys. You know what I mean? Crowder was obviously a tough guy as well, but to see him go is a shame. But I think Bam, Butler, Dragic, they're all just tough blue collar players.
Yeah.
And I think they've got Robertson now who kind of cleans it up a little bit with his good shooting as well. So I think great team to watch. Great team just in terms of kind of ethics. You know what I mean? And they pass amazingly. I noticed they pass so well as a team, and they're so gelled. So their chemistry and identity is kind of fit. It's just whether like you're saying, if Dragic can keep going for the whole season, if they can maintain it throughout the whole season, because it's going to be a much longer season. Well, 72. Is it 72 games? I'm not sure how many games.
72, yeah, compressed as well.
Yeah. So I mean, did they just have a good playoff run, or would they have a good season? I think that's just the question of whether they can keep it going throughout the whole year, so they can get a better position, maybe in the playoffs if there's going to be a home court advantage this time around. But it's tough to see. But on paper, fantastic.
Yeah, cool. Our next team is the Philadelphia 76ers.
Indeed. The Sixers. Interesting team indeed. So they added Danny Green, great addition in my opinion, Seth Curry, Tony Bradley, Terrence Ferguson, and big Dwight Howard. They lost their biggest loss, in my opinion, Al Horford. Obviously, Josh Richardson and Zaire Smith as well. Alec Burks and Raul Neto. Ryan Burkhoff, Kylo Quinn, and Glenn Robinson III. So quite a lot of people left. The X Factor, Joel Embiid is still the best player in this team. He's getting better. He needs to, cool off, calm his head. Stop tweeting so much and start playing more. And this will be a very interesting team to watch. I can't wait for the feud between Embiid and Dwight. Danny Green, solid player in my opinion, extremely underrated. Same as Seth Curry. Seth Curry, I mean, he averages 44% on his career from behind the 3-point line. That's really, really good. Let's see what Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons can still add. They have a good roster. They're going to be in the top. In my opinion, fourth, maybe third seed in the East, behind Celtics and maybe Raptors, and we just mentioned as well the Bucks. So we'll see. My opinion, they'll still be up there in the East.
I don't see it primarily just because Embiid, like you say, an X factor, but he doesn't know the limitations of his game. You know what I mean? He keeps shooting loaded threes unnecessarily. He's a leader. He's not a good leader in the way LeBron James leads his team and he separates his team. You know what I mean? I think the Shake Milton incident that happened in the bubble and stuff like that. Ben Simmons, clearly, them two don't gel as much as everyone wants them to gel and stuff. And then obviously Al Horford didn't work kind of with him as well. So I think he separates players, and I think he's got so much personality, which is a good thing. But like you said, he needs to focus on his game. And I think ultimately he's not mature enough to kind of focus all in. You know what I mean? To where it's about basketball and that's it. His reputation is borderline, in my opinion. So I don't think the Sixers are quite ready with the additions that they made. I don't think Danny Green and Dwight Howard, great players, but I don't think they bring that leadership where he will look up to them, even though they've won championships. So I think it'll be an interesting season for the Sixers. They're
still good enough to be up there in the East,
They are, but they had that terrible losing streak last season that was amazing away from home. That was kind of like they just lost every game away. So I don't know how they're going to be on the road this year. So I think if their road record's better, then potentially, in my opinion.
I would have loved to see D'Antoni coaching them. Really, really, really love that. When he was rumored to be the next Sixers coach, I was up for it. It took me about 5 seconds to, I went from, yeah, that's great. Let's get Ben Simmons to shoot more threes. But
yeah, you guys don't know, but I made a dinner bet with some friends that Ben Simmons makes 12 or more threes. We're going to prorate it for the 72 games this season. If he doesn't, I'm going to be buying dinner for, well, me and Mike will be buying dinner for about 5 other dudes at the end of the season. So I'm banking on Doc Rivers being the Ben Simmons and getting him in the right mindset to let it fly. But I think the moves that they've made are the right moves. Like Daryl Morey's come in, and we thought that the Horford contract couldn't be moved. He managed to get it done, and even got a 3-and-D player in Danny Green, who's the perfect player to play with Simmons and Embiid. And though they've had their struggles in the past, their best season came when they just surrounded those two with shooters. Ben Simmons is one of the best 3-point shot creators in the league, not for himself, but one of the best at creating for others. And bringing in a guy like Seth Curry, who has the all-time record for career 3-point percentage, just a hair ahead of his brother, is again another perfect match. There's still a bit of movement to be done, and Tobias Harris is going to have to be more consistent than he has been in the past. But I think from the position they were in before summer to the position before the end of the season to where they are now, I think they've taken a few steps forwards. So yeah, I would have them as well, like maybe teetering between contender and solid playoffs in the 3-4 spot, as you guys have said. Whether that becomes more playoff success remains to be seen.